Mitt Romney characterized 47% of all Americans as feeling entitled. Mitt Romney characterized half of America as parasites who could not, would not, were too lazy, crazy, and stupid to work, let alone to vote for him. Lazy, crazy, stupid, half insane. Does that include child care workers, Mitt? Does that include pensioners, Milk, who have worked for 50 years? Does that include the mentally ill who would give their right arms to be able to do the work drill? Mitt. They give you such fits in your quiet moment of utter honesty. Does that include the highly functioning mentally ill who just need time to heal? Tell me, Mitt, does that include all minimum wage workers at $7 an hour, those 47%, those 47% who you could never win over? A rare moment of quiet depth into your character. You spoke it, Mitt. You spoke it, Mitt, and you come from old fucking money. This is what drives me the craziest. You are discounting half of Americans, and you yourself, you slimy bastard, come from old money. You say borrow from mommy and daddy. Mommy and daddy don't have any fucking money to borrow. You said, do you want an unsuccessful businessman to be your president? A man who is paying 20 cents an hour to Chinese workers while you broadband their whole nation as, quote, cheaters like China. You approve the Iraq war, Mitt. 1 million motherfucking casualties. Widows and orphans scream out your name. They scream out your name. What's next, Mitt? Is it Iran? Is it Saudi Arabia? Iraq was already in the Stone Age, Mitt. Don't you get it? Don't you give a shit? Shock and awe didn't mean much to them. You just pushed them back into the Stone Age. And a Christian president in George W. Bush, we all found out what that meant, and there is blood dripping down my face. There is blood dripping down my back. There is blood dripping down my shoulders. Dripping down, dripping down, dripping down. I did not vote, and there is blood dripping down. Every Christian who voted for little George Bush, the great war president, little George Bush who compared himself to to Winston Churchill. He killed 500,000 Iraqis, and in turn 6,000 of our brave men and women from England and from Australia were killed. Blood for oil, little George, little George. Somalia is in utter chaos. Utter fucking chaos. But we're not giving them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through shock and awe bombing. I beg God's forgiveness. I beg God's forgiveness for this false Christian, heavily influenced by Cheney, Roe, and Big George. Maybe we can recreationally waterboard them and see what non-torture does. I beg God's forgiveness for all Christians who voted for little George. May we never, ever let the same madness repeat. I beg God's forgiveness for Ralph Nader. A close race, he made the difference, and he put little George in office. And most of all, I beg God's forgiveness for myself, for being such a fool as to assume a man who wears a cross around his neck acts and believes the doctrine that this represents.